because we're not that old. Shut up. We're not old. We're just young. We're just young dudes with gray in our beards. You know. We like no. The ladies love that. The ladies love that. Hey everybody, my name is Old School Nerd. It's Friday, February the 10th, and it's a big day for music. A lot of artists are dropping albums. Nothing is more anticipated than this one, Foregone from In Flames. Now, we're going to do a double today. Of course, Anders, the lead singer of the band, is having a sit-down chat with Tank today. I will be watching that. Hopefully, you guys will check that out as well. But on my side, I'm having a sit-down with Björn, the epic bearded guitarist from the band who's been there since the very beginning. We're going to talk about this new album. We're going to talk about the history of In Flames, its evolution to its current state, and how maybe this album could be some of his favorite stuff they've ever done. All right, are you ready? Well, you're not, but I'm going to press play anyway. Let's enjoy this sit-down chat, but with Björn and I, and then afterwards, we're going to watch the lyric video for the last track on the album called End the Transmission. Hey everybody, my name is Old School Nerd. Welcome in. And today I have the honor and privilege of speaking to the man who I've talked about his epic beard for literally every reaction to this album coming up. This is Björn from the incredible In Flames. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm not up 7:30 in the morning like some other people I know.
I don't know those people.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, when someone says, "Hey, do you want to talk to In Flames?" and they give you a time, and then they say, "Oh, by the way, that's Central European time," and then you do the math and you went, "Oh, guess I got to get up early." You do it. Okay, so let's talk about let's definitely talk about the band. But I have to warn you, my name is Old School Nerd, not Old School Metal fan. I didn't start listening to any real metal music. I stopped in 98 and didn't pick up metal music until 2020.
Wow.
I went to folk music.
Mm-hmm.
I did my Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, the journey everybody has to do to understand. And then somebody said, "Man, you got to come back to metal music. There's some stuff going on now. It's completely different." And I think a lot of it has to do with YouTube and social media, where a band can literally not only put out what plays on radio or what, gets distributed, but let's be creative.
Yeah.
And during COVID, I started doing reactions. Like, what am I going to do? I'm stuck at home. I'm going to do reactions. And this journey has been nuts.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine, especially for you being away from this kind of music and then digging into it. That's quite an honest reaction then. Haven't listened to this kind of music for a while and then digging straight into the metal scene and having an honest reaction. That's pretty cool, actually.
You should have seen the first time I saw Ginger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Oh, yeah. Have you seen them?
There's been a lot of what the fuck moments, but almost all of them have been amazingly good. So speaking of what the hell moments, In Flames. So this brand new band out of Sweden, yeah, right? Yeah.
Okay.
When was the last time you heard that?
30 years ago.
Well, congratulations.
It's not 30. It's
and this the reason why you and I are talking is two reasons. Number one, this is probably going to be the most iconic album that many people that are hardcore In Flames fans can relate to going back. I mean, if you watch any of Tank the Tech's reactions to you guys, he's one of y'all biggest fans. He's not just a huge reactor, he's a huge In Flames fan. You guys are the only band name he has tattooed on his body.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know. And then I saw all of the reactors talk to one another. And when I said, "Hey guys, which band should I be looking out for this year?" All the reactors who have big channels said In Flames. And I went, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then you guys started releasing songs. State of Slow Decay. I was like, "Ooh, The Great Deceiver." Oh, Foregone Part 1 and Part 2. I did those reactions and I said, man, it's not just you guys get put in that genre of melodic deathcore, and I just don't see it. Like, it's so evolved, so creative, and Foregone 1 and 2 were so elaborately written, and the composition, the storytelling reminded me of days when, like me, I'm a classic metalhead. Those epic, 20-minute songs that were so epically done and perfectly told, you didn't realize they were 20 minutes long. You don't see that anymore. And part one and part two stole that story to me. And Bjorn, you're my favorite member of this band, and I'm not saying that because you're the one on the camera, because you're the one that I relate to. You and I are the same age.
Oh, cool!
And,
yeah,
and you and I, we rock the beards. I had to cut mine, but you're still holding it down for me. Thank you.
yeah. No rules.
But you and I want to say that, it's funny. I would say, like, oh, well, you and the younger guys. Well, let's be honest. Even your newest player is still an old dog in the game, but he's still the newest member, Chris. But tell me about this album, because I want to hear. Is this one of those things where you guys during COVID said, we're stuck here, let's channel this and make something great? Because a lot of bands did, but this thing is next level. So can you tell me about how this album came together?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like we needed to make another record, not at all, because we barely started touring on I the Mask, which is the thing is we released it and we started doing a couple of shows. We did a few shows in Russia. We flew all the way down to New Zealand to do shows there, and in Australia, and then the world shut down, right? So we didn't get to tour almost anything on I the Mask. So we were still, during the pandemic, still talking about touring I the Mask and where to go and all that. But we couldn't really see any live shows happening, and live is where I really, really thrive. Live is the most fun part of it. It's like every night is unique. You're playing with these killer musicians, and it sounds like fucking candy in your ears. And that's all I want to do, and I couldn't see those live shows. And that's not very inspiring. So I wasn't in a writing mode or anything at all. I was like, just can't wait for this shit to be over, basically. And Anders was the one that said, well, let's go over to Los Angeles. That's where we have been for the last couple of records, because we love the climate. We have a bunch of friends there. Howard is working there. Howard Benson and his team, they're all there. Blake Armstrong, who's the cover artist, all of them live there. So it's like a home away from home without any of the distractions, right? So we went there and met up for the first time in like 2 years after the pandemic, and it felt awesome. And started working on some of the ideas that you hear on the record today. And they were just embryos. We didn't know at all. We didn't have any plan. We didn't have any pressure. We didn't have any reason to record, to be honest, but it just felt right. And I think that has just and also the fact that we had a pause to reflect a little bit, because our lives are ongoing things, right? We tour, then we record, write and record, and then we tour, write and record. It's all like a positive squirrel wheel, if you want, but it doesn't give you time to reflect. And this did, and we didn't have any pressure to put it out. We knew that as soon as the pandemic is over, we're going to continue touring I the Mask, but with a full album extra in our back pockets, we could just, put one song out there and add to the live set and just do it slowly, but, in a fun way. No pressure, no nothing, just because we wanted it to. So I think that for sure had something to do with how it turned out. And also the fact that, we love how I the Mask sound. I love how it sounds. I'm a guitar player, so you can hear like the picking on the strings. It's like super intricate sound. I love that sound, but it's leaning a little bit towards the rock, right? So when we were digging in and finding ideas and stuff, we didn't think differently, I think, from how we normally do. It's about melody, it's about aggressions, lots of guitars, lots of drums, screaming and clean vocals all mixed up, depending on where we want it, right? But this time around, we felt like, okay, let's make it more of a metal, maybe even more a death metal production, modern death metal production. And we're not a purely death metal band. We haven't really been. We are part that and part melodic rock at the same time, right?
Y'all are very hybrid. Y'all free float outside, and you got to, otherwise you get stuck.
I think you possibly could get stuck, but I think also as a member in the band, you want to be challenged, and you also want to have the freedom to express what is. I want to play what I want to play. That's the thing, you know. Otherwise, I'd be playing in a cover band, which is awesome. I mean, I played in those too because it's fun, right? But when it comes to creating or playing this amount of shows, I gotta love every song, you know, and that means we got to do it our way. For some people like it, some people don't. But I think the major difference here was the production. It's how we decided to put the guitars and drums absolutely in the foreground, making it massive, big. And those were the few words that we used, explaining what we wanted to do when we talked to Howard and we talked to Joe, who used to be a member in the band, by the way, playing drums. And he mixed the thing. And he knows us, he understands. So when we said we wanted to sound massive, big, maybe a little colder, maybe not as organic, and he just understood it and packaged it this way. And we're super stoked, obviously.
Yeah, well, of course, you used to play the drums too. I think the only person who hasn't played the drums in the band is Anders, and I think he's up on the next album. Let's make him do it.
Yep.
I think it'd be funny.
Yes,
okay, God, even outside of metal music, even when I was listening to classic rock and stuff, I would get to go to these classic rock shows in the US. Because, come on, even Leonard Skinner still tours here, right? So you'd see all these classic heavy metal bands come through. And every time they would come through Lafayette, Louisiana, and they'd go to the Cajun Dome, and they'd go to Houston or New Orleans, you'd always see in the marquee In Flames. Because you guys tour a lot.
Yeah.
And you guys always know how to hook up with bands that may not be in death metal or metalcore or heavy, you know, that heavy European sound, but you get in there with those American big bands that put together a big tour. Everybody talks about, dude, In Flames. Did you see In Flames? That's what you hear the next day. Not making that shit up to you. I'm serious. That's been going on for quite some time. So you guys are known in the US. I mean, well, technically now you guys are what? 3 out of 5 American now. So technically,
Well,
you're right. You're kind of we're a hybrid there too. But you guys always leave your mark live, and people say that your live stuff is always your best showing, and that's good to know, because if you can't do it live, then
I think I very much appreciate what you say. It's very nice to hear it, because we put a lot of energy into our live set. It's like a lot of focus is on that. When we play so much live, it would suck if we wouldn't be good, you know? So it's the whole point, as I mentioned earlier, it's like, this is where I really, really enjoy myself. And with In Flames, it's incredible because we've lost a bunch of members throughout the years.
Yeah.
That always sucks. It always sucks, no matter how you twist and turn it, because these are people you spend a lot of time with, a lot of time in close quarters. Basically, you sleep on the bus together, you share the stage with these guys, and basically they are family. So when you lose one of those, it sucks.
Yeah.
But In Flames has always managed to attract very, very talented people. So every time somebody leaves, another person has been ready and willing and stepped up to the plate, basically, and have delivered, and also brought with them the energy and the will to be on stage. So we constantly get better. And I have to say, especially now after this last year playing together again, we've never sounded better. It's never been more fun to play live than it does today. So it's awesome to hear what you're saying. And I'm glad people notice, because I think that's the strength of In Flames. It's a live show.
There are some bands that make good albums, and then there are some bands that you never forget seeing them live. And then you're like, especially with bands that, when you guys come into the US and you know you're touring with other bands that are played here on the radio still, because we still listen to music on radio here. It's weird.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden everyone's like, who was that? And then you have people come up to merch table, or the people that show up after the show and they're like, this is my first time seeing you. And you look at their eyes and you're like, they're an In Flames fan forever now. And I think you're one of those bands that does that. I want to talk about this last song that I did a reaction to, that we've all done a reaction to, and that's Meet Your Maker. Now, as all reactors, we all talk to each other behind the scenes, and we're all like, and we're all of us are like, did you do your reaction to Meet Your Maker yet? No, I haven't. Dude, you got to do it. And so we're all pumped up about this thing, and we all do our reactions, and then we can't talk about it because we don't want to spoil it. I did mine first, and everything about it was, to me, I said, it's metal musical storytelling done perfectly. Because it has everything you want. And I'm describing all the things I'm hearing and all the layering and that perfect melodic, that hook you throw over the top of the chorus. And I hear you doing it, and I'm watching you doing it. And I'm like, that is what you want. But then there's everything else. And then I go and I watch Nick Nocturnal's reaction. And Nick is probably one of my favorite reactors because he's huge and he's a musician. So he understands what's going on. And when he saw everything I saw, but he knew what it was called, very helpful. And he referred to Meet Your Maker as the perfect metal song.
Oh shit. Wow.
Literally. Well, and it's because everybody had its place. Every person shined. I mean, look, even Tanner was amazed. Like, Tanner shone in the video because when you break down and it just that drive, and when you have him and Bryce, that rhythm section was ridiculous. And then to hear Anders do that harsh vocal, and then to hear that perfect Anders melodic tone that he is so perfect at, you're just like, where is it? This is so amazingly, it's so perfectly balanced. And then as he's singing that iconic chorus, and I don't know how you're going to beat Meet Your Maker, to hear you do that melodic hook over the top. And everyone, I'm just like, okay, this is it. This is Song of the Year. And we're in January right now. And then all of a sudden the new guy, like he's new, right? Chris does this guitar solo. I'm like, okay, well then fuck it. All right, Song of the Year. And then I'm looking around and I'm looking, okay, it's January, mid-January. Okay, everyone else, you got 11 months. There's your bar. Go for it. Is this your favorite song on the album, or is there something else that's coming that is your favorite?
There's it's really hard to pick. It's like picking and choosing between your kids, right? They're all creations, and you're extremely proud of all of them. And so some of these songs I'm looking forward more to play live. I would say I think that's where they differ a little bit. Meet Your Maker is one of them because of the aggressiveness of it. I think the cool thing with that song is that it's a good balance between early days, the mid days, nowadays, and sort of where we're heading. I think that it summarizes In Flames really, really well. That's sort of why we waited a little bit, because what we have presented so far has been somewhat extreme in one parts, and then very melodic and very folk music-y in a way,
which I love.
Look, I do too.
Foregone Part 1 and Part 2 was a journey for me. I was like, okay,
it's really interesting you mentioned those, because Foregone 1 and 2, they were actually supposed to be, make sure you see my thumbs. They were supposed to be that way. So and also the intro you haven't heard yet, or have you heard the whole record, or is it just?
I haven't had a chance to hear the. I haven't heard the whole intro. I haven't. All I've gotten is what's been released. So.
All right. So, spoiler for you, maybe then. There's an acoustic part in the beginning of the record, right?
Okay.
That was supposed to be in between the two Foregone parts, and there was other things planned as well. So we really wanted to make it that 7-8 minute journey. So and then
the beginning of All Things is kind of a interlude that was supposed to be between the two of them.
Exactly, that was the first plan, and that's before everything was like written and done. But the basic ideas were there, and so that was exactly what we were aiming for. I wanted to do something that we haven't done in a while, and something that would showcase everything that we've done, right? And showcase everything we want to do.
We're gonna rush the shit out of this. We're gonna do our 2112 go. Why not?
I love Rush, but that was the first plan. But then we started listening to the whole thing, the whole album, and we make albums too. We don't do songs, we don't do singles, right?
Yeah.
So when you start looking at that, you want that perfect flow, at least for our taste. Mm-hmm. That perfect flow for us listening through the record. And then we started realizing, okay, we need to break these up in order to get the energies in the right place, and the flow needs to be natural. We couldn't have all of it in one spot, so we decided to split it up, and it worked out really, really well. So I just wanted to mention that since you talked about those parts. But
So you know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to put myself a little playlist that does Foregone Part 2, then the beginning of all things, and then Foregone Part 1, just to see if I hear.
Yeah, I guess if I
just the little bits that were originally before it was all fleshed out. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Okay, you got to re-record it. I want to hear it like that. But that's great. Okay, one song track listing that kind of threw me off. That I was like, wait, what? Okay, a dialogue in B flat minor.
Yeah. Well, basically,
metal bands don't usually title songs the way Beethoven would. So why did you name a song that?
Well, basically, I mean, the tuning we use most of the time is B flat minor.
Yeah.
I mean, or I'm not a theory guy, right? So you should talk to Chris Broderick about this. He would explain it all about it, right?
Of course.
And especially hours too. And I couldn't, but I know that, I mean, we tune to C and then we drop, and that makes it a B flat. So B, but drop one half step, right? So that's where it started. Anders just asked me one day, so we're still doing B flat, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then he didn't tell me anything about it, and all of a sudden I see this lyric pop up. So it was a surprise to me too.
I think that's really cool. Also, band photos, you got to teach Chris a new pose. No, because everyone's standing there and they're looking, and Chris has that classic heavy metal turning to the sky, but he's looking down. It's that classic metal pose. He's still doing it, and it's awesome. And you got to get him to grow facial hair.
I think it was directed by like his profile.
He's like, I always do this. This is my classic metal. This is my heavy metal pose. I got no fist this time. Okay, but I'm still doing. All right, it's hilarious to me. I love it. So
I think it's really hard to be original when it comes to band photos. I mean, they've all been done. So it's like basically even fans of that, but that's not the important thing. But I guess some people it's important to know how we look, I guess. But
no,
come to our shows and you'll find out.
Yeah, you know? For me, it's never about the look of a band. It's never been about the look of a band.
Thank God. I mean, there's so many bands out there.
There's some really pretty people out there, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's also some fucking ugly bands out there. So I mean, that's just how it is.
That's okay. One of my favorite bands is a bunch of dwarves from Italy, so I don't even know what to tell you.
It really doesn't matter. I think the whole point is, and that's the point with music. It doesn't matter. You know, it's all about emotions. It's all about taste. It's not about, and that's why I never understood or kind of followed the whole like social media warring against each other, and you have to be confined in your own, like in a certain genre in order to be respected. And fuck that. I could never do that, because that limits me, and that somebody else is limiting what I can listen to or what I can think is good or bad. I never understood that. And all this energy is wasted by people that could use that for way more positive things, right? So I never was part of that. And that's, I think that's the beauty of it. It's all about the music. It's all about if you like it or not.
I think the label you guys are on, and a couple of other labels in Europe right now, they get that. They're like, what are you guys going to create? Be creative. That's something I've noticed. I don't see a lot of formula music coming out in the last few years from these labels. They're like, less formula, because we don't get played on the radio anyway. It's metal, people. And what's going to really capture people's imagination? And I think I've talked about this renaissance of metal music coming out of Europe. You're seeing it in Australia too, in Asia, in some places. Hopefully America will catch up eventually, but I'm seeing something where you have independent bands and younger, hungry bands that they're no longer trying to emulate what they think a label will want to hear, but just this creative explosion.
They're doing their own thing.
And it works. Oh,
Yeah.
being something unique works. If you're a
Yeah, but
template of
I
someone
don't think you
else,
should, I
yeah,
don't think you should be unique just because you want to be unique. You should do
be
what you
you.
think is good, right? And that's, it's again, it's all down to taste.
Yeah.
Do what you like, because that's the only way of being honest and true, if you want. It's like, I'm doing this because I love it, and I'm the
Oh yeah.
one going to be on stage playing this 1,000 times, hopefully, or more. you know I like it, and that it's just about being honest. And I going back to the labels and stuff, Nuclear Blast has been with us almost from the start.
Mhm.
It's one of those labels that has always given artists their freedom, at least us, and they've always respected the will of the artist and the direction of the artist. There's always been one or two dudes or ladies at the record label wishing that some bands would write more singles and hits, obviously, because it's money in the end. But they've also been very, very, very good with letting bands be creative and being themselves. And that's a recipe for longevity, I think, and for success.
I cannot agree with you more. For me, as a fan of music, um, I if you had one song on this album that I've heard so far that I could hear being played on radio as a single and it not be intended to be a single, it would be Meet Your Maker, because it is, like you said, it is an amalgamation of every form of In Flames as it has evolved. Every little bit of that is in there, and it appeals to so many people. I've played it for people who are not metal fans. They're like, "What was that?" I'm like, "That's In Flames. That's their new one." And they're like, "Oh my God, is that on the radio?" Please don't say the word radio. Don't say the word radio. Here's the pre-order link. Pre-order the album. It'll be on all these streaming services. And I think that's part of it. Is you guys have been around, like you said, 30 years. If it wasn't something that was literally in your soul, you wouldn't have been here for 30 years.
No. Obviously not. It's all about that. It's a little bit. I brushed on the subject, like all this, like critique you can get and all that stuff. It doesn't in the end mean anything, and it doesn't force our hands into anything. We don't. We can't listen to that, because the reason for that is because there's too many opinions, and I can't. There's no way you can listen to all of it, and I think in that case, there's only a few opinions that matter, and it's the ones in the band, because we are the ones up on stage playing it and enjoying it, right? So those are the only thoughts and ideas and sources of input that I will listen to. Nothing else. Not record labels. Not people on the internet. Not even an audience. I can't, because it's going to be too diverse.
But wouldn't you say that when you first go out on tour, okay, and you're bringing out new music like this album, okay, and you're going to start seeing patterns at certain parts of the show, you're like, the crowd responds to this. The crowd respond. Did you see what the crowd just did when we did that? And it has to at least make you think a little bit, like, I wonder what made them. And you're like, I felt it too. There's sometimes it just feels different. And you guys are one of the bands that has gone through different phases. And as you have evolved, you lose fans, you gain fans, you lose fans, you gain fans, because everyone has their own particular taste. But at the end of the day, there are people that have like Tank the Tech. He's loved you guys because he grew up listening to you guys, and then now he hears the new record and he's like, it's everything I wanted, and it comes full circle for us. I'm just excited. I think at the end of the day, it's your art, and you're sharing what you're feeling. You're sharing your heart, your loves, your stripes, your pains, your tragedies, your triumphs. You're putting you're putting it into music, and you're sharing it, and people are going to connect or they're not. At the end of the day, you're the one out there playing it. So
exactly. You summarized it really well. And that's the thing. And I think anybody who hasn't given it a shot yet, at least, I mean, if we're on a festival, you're there anyways, just go check us, go check us out. It's not going to cost you extra, or go to a live show, get a spot on the guest list or whatever. Check us out. If you don't like it after a live show, it's absolutely fine. But I think it all takes on a different shape when it comes down to live. Most bands have that, even if their career has been long or short, it's going to be different from the record, right? And that's just the way I think music should be experienced. It's immersive. You can see the band playing actually what's going on, and you can hear each and every little nuance and little mistakes here and there that makes that show unique, and it's part of the whole show, and songs that are from 15-20 years apart on different records, they fit very nicely together on a live set, which is, when you start thinking about it, it's kind of crazy, right? So
it's
that's
still you. It may be 20 years later, but it's still you at the core. It's still right here.
I think you should really go see a band live and support your bands, right? That's the best way of finding out if you like it, or maybe getting to see another view, like a different perspective on a song you weren't really a fan of, but all of a sudden, it makes sense when I see it live. For me, that happens all the time. I go to as many as I can.
There have been songs on albums I'm like, it's okay, and then live it sounds completely different. There's a different energy. You're like, okay, now it's my favorite song, but damn it, I need a live performance recorded, because I now that I've heard it live, when I hear it on the album, I'm like, it's just not as good.
Yeah,
love
it.
it.
Another time it happens.
It happens.
That's just the thing, and live is the best way of finding new bands and finding or sort of how you say, checking out the bands that you started listening to and see if it's the real deal. I think it's super important to see bands live. Well, music is supposed to be enjoyed live.
Yeah. Well, Björn, I am honored to have met you and spoken to you today.
Likewise, man. Thank you for
having me. I know I'm a new in fan, but since this album started coming out and I mentioned, hey, I really love Foregone Part 1 and there's a Part 2 coming, everybody was like, dude, you have got to deep dive into In Flames. I was like, okay. So I started looking through the anthology, going through all these albums, and I'm like, I remember hearing that song. I didn't know it was when you have a little anthology of music like you guys have. Eventually, I'm like, I heard that song when I was at a music festival, or I heard this in my friend's car, and I'm like, I didn't know it was. And then it hits you. Do you have anything you want to say to everybody? I mean, the album's coming out in just a few days. If you haven't pre-ordered it, everybody, you need to go. I will have all the information from the band below.
Good.
Absolutely. So is there any message you want to tell both all those In Flames fans that have loved you guys from day one and the new ones that are just finding this amazing band? Is there anything you want to tell them before we end this up?
Yeah, absolutely. A huge thank you for anybody who's had the strength or stamina to follow us through the years, and also to all the new people listening. And I mean, obviously, this is a dream come true, being able to do this. I've done this my whole adult life, and I love every second of it. And the reason why I can do this is because of all you guys. It's as simple as that.
Well, technically, if you're my age and you've been doing it for 30 years, you've been doing it before you were an adult, which is still awesome. Because we're not that old. Shut up. We're not old. We're just young. We're just young dudes with gray in our beards. You know. We like. No. The ladies love that. All right. Hey, remember everybody. If Björn can do it, so can you. And that's our interview with Björn. I thank you very much, sir. Good luck on the album release. As always, be safe out on the road because you guys are a touring band as always. And if you get a chance to see In Flames, you got to do it at least once. Because if you do it once, odds are it's going to be like this. Yeah, because that's how it works. Thank you very, very much, sir.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
All right. Björn's awesome. Love that guy. I mean, everything he does. I could love the guy just for his beard, but he's so relaxed, such a great guy, really a genuine person. And they're really excited about this album. And so far, every song they've released, especially Meet Your Maker, for a new In Flames fan like I am, to the classic In Flames fans like Tank the Tech, who have loved this band for years, everyone's heads are turning for this album. So let's check out this final track. This is an official lyric video called End the Transmission. Love that graphic, man. It's that build. Okay, I'm really liking this. Okay, here's my favorite part. Anders' vocals, I mean, he can do such iconic sounding melodic tone vocals that resonate. You hear every word he's saying and it means something, right? Well, this harsh vocal he's doing in this album is also very well understood. So many bands do harsh vocals, you can't understand a single word until you read the lyric sheet. This is a lyric video, and I gotta be honest with you, technically, I don't need to read the words to hear what he's saying. That's a positive, okay? Anders' vocals need to be understood right from the get-go. He's plainly spoken in the lyrical style, but the groove, man, the groove on this album, no frills, man. 4 on the floor, classic heavy metal, just angry, purposeful riffs. I'm going to back it up so we can jump back into this chorus. But see what I'm talking about? Every song on this album's a banger. And this is the final track on the album. So, kind of poetic. Let's do it. That groove right behind the end. I love that. It's so damn good. I mean, seriously, guys, it's so damn good. In the transmission, because you're not making any impact and nobody's listening, there's no ambition. It's hilarious because this album, everyone's listening to it. But yet the end of the Transmission song, it's that hollow message. It's that warning against, are we even paying attention to what's going on? Running out of graves. I mean, some heavy lyrics in this one, and I really enjoy the storytelling, but I think the tale of this song, just like a lot of this album, is amazing lyrics, but holy crap, the rhythm section in this album. And it's not just your drums and your guitar. It's Björn's rhythm hooks that he's throwing in there, those riffs, and of course, Chris balancing everything out. Andrew's telling the story. It's a complete album. I think that's what people are starting to catch on for this, is with so much experimentation coming out this year from metal bands, and we love it. Don't get me wrong. I love all the new stuff that really pushes envelopes. There's something to be said about a complete sound in an album. In Flames has captured that, and they're running with it. And we're going to run with them. Thank you to Björn for his time today. Thank all of you for joining me in this. All of In Flames information will be put in the description below. I want to say thank you to Nuclear Blast Records for giving me the time and opportunity that I could speak to Björn. Solid guy. Make sure you check out the Black Lounge podcast on Take the Text channel. He's talking to Anders today. I know that conversation has Tank extremely pumped, because In Flames, as you know, is one of his favorite bands of all time. And I'm rapidly developing a love for this band too. Sorry I'm late to the party, but at least I showed up. And with that, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. My name is Old School Nerd. On behalf of Björn, I want to say thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Also, if you want to subscribe, right there. Big thank you to all my Patreons out there. We appreciate everything you do. If you want more content like this video, check them out above. Remember, love one another, take care of each other. We're all stuck on this mud ball together. We'll see you later.